Toscano, attorney at law, representing Michael Prinn and Pete Prinn. Between the two of them, 35 years of residency here in the North End. They have 3 young children that go to our schools, participate in
Can they join you, please?
So the Prinn family recently purchased 279 North Street. For those who aren't familiar with 279 North Street, it's at the corner of Fleet Street and North Street. This parking lot is a separate parcel. It's this building here, okay? It's right now it's a 5-family residential building. It's been demoed, but 5-family residential building. Also, let me introduce Michael Della Russo, who's in the room. Michael is the general contractor on this property, a lifelong resident of the neighborhood. Does a tremendous amount of work here in the neighborhood and knows how to work these small areas in the neighborhood. So Michael's here, been a construction collection. So we're going to change the occupancy from a 5-family residential dwelling to a 3-family residential dwelling. We're going to extend the living space into the basement. We're also going to renovate the building to include additional floor space on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. Okay, and the new 5th floor, as you're going to be able to see that there's a space between 279 North Street and 277 North Street buildings. So there's about a 3-foot space. We're going to fill that space in. The lot size is approximately 1,082 square feet. The zoning is a waterfront neighborhood shopping district. That probably surprises a lot of people in this room. And the gross square footage when everything is done is 5,785 square feet. So zoning analysis, we have a few violations here, and I'll go through them. The extension of a non-conforming use, which is conditional, which is the extension of the living space into the basement, 1st floor residential unit, which is in this sub-district, is actually conditional. And we have GCOG, which is the groundwater, which we have to get a civil engineer to write a letter that there's going to be no harm to the existing rainwater or the water level. So we're working on with a civil engineer. We have open space violation. In this sub-district, you need 50 square feet of open space per unit. I believe we were cited. We have 347 total square feet of open space. I believe we meet that violation. However, the plans examiner cited us for it. I will work with the plans examiner to see why we were cited, but in any event, we believe we meet that requirement. The minimum rear yard, we have to, in this sub-district, we have to be 20 feet from the building behind us. This is a pre-existing violation right now. Our building is right on the plot plan. Had we not elected to erect a 5th floor addition, this would not be a violation. It's a pre-existing violation, but the fact that we're adding a 5th floor, it then triggers it as a violation. But what we're doing is, with the new 5th story, we're going to set it back 10 feet 4 inches. In GCOG, and roof structure violation is, once again, we have an existing roof. We are changing the structure of the roof by adding a 5th floor and adding a roof deck on top for the exclusive use of the owner. And we have an FAR violation. FAR violation is 3. It is a pre-existing violation. Let me go back. See it here. It's 3. We're going to 5.38 for the FAR, the living space. So everybody can get an aerial shot of where 279 North Street is and the surrounding properties. It's this building right here, and as you can see, the surrounding properties are most of them are at 55 feet in height, except for this one's a little floor shorter than us, which is 57 North Street. So, say that again?
I think that's 50.
Please, I'm sorry. Thank you. So looking at a front view of the property, so this is the space that we're filling in. This is why our FAI gets a little bit bigger, because we're filling in this space. We're going right up to this potty wall, which is, we own this potty wall. So we're extending the 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor, and the new 5th floor right up against this building. We're going to go into the basement for some living space. It's really going to be used as storage, but we're going to, since we're renovating the entire building, we're going to renovate the basement for storage, and we're going to add the 1-story addition with the building. This is just a view of proposed building looking down at North Street. And another aerial view, as you can see, this is a photo rendition of how the building would look, just an aerial view. We're going to 47 feet in height and 10 inches, so we're still shorter than this building, 277 North Street, which is about 55 feet in height. So we're going to 4710. So I want to talk about the floor plan a little bit. So this building is going to be owner occupied, so going down to 3 units. Unit number 1 and unit number 2 will be rental unit. Floor number 3, 4, and 5 will be the owner with a 4-bedroom unit for themselves. So here, this is really a finished basement. Basement is really just it's a finished basement, storage space, whatever you want to call it and be used for. It's for the exclusive use of the owner for unit 1. This is the first floor. So when you saw the pre-existing conditions, you had a door on the right, and then the unit number 1, there was a doorway right in the middle. What we're going to do, we're going to move the doorway. So there's going to be a main door right here, and you're going to be able to get into unit 1, which is a 2-bedroom residential unit. You're going to be able to go up to the stairs and get into unit number 2, and that's as far as it goes, okay? And then this stairway, there's going to be another stairwell here, which is going to be for the owner's unit, unit number 3, and this is how you're going to access the basement going downstairs, or you can use the stairway and going up. There's an elevator that will go down to the basement and directly to unit 3. The elevator does not stop at unit, the first floor or the second floor. It goes to the basement and it stops just for unit number 3. And the beauty about this elevator is there's no, there's no override on the roof. It's probably about 18 inches override because it's just going to stop on the 5th floor. Unit number 2, as you can see here, is a 2-bedroom residential unit. Access here, once again, from the stairwell, which you would enter down here on the right side. Then you see the elevator, but it doesn't stop there. 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So this is the owner's unit, which is approximately 3,122 total square feet. On 3rd floor, you have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I'm going to assume these are for all the children they have. But this 3,000 square feet includes the basement, okay, in our calculation. The 4th floor is, you'll see a master bedroom, some living space, and for Mike and Pete. And so total is a 4-bedroom, I think it's 3.5 bath. And this is the, I'm sorry. So this is, one more, all right. The addition. Well, we're gonna have a kitchen, a living space, and a back terrace that's going back. So our building ends here, and that's the 10 feet 4 inches that I talked about. That's what's set back from the property, the adjacent property. And we're gonna have 168 square feet of open space. We're gonna have an open air stairwell that goes up to the roof. So there is no proposed head house that was filed with these plans. So there's an open air stairwell. Its living space is a half bath and kitchen. And there's gonna be a railing here, 36 inches railing for some privacy, etc., and safety reasons. The roof deck, come up the stairs, open air, so it's set back about actually 10 feet 4 inches. Roof deck for the exclusive use of the owner. Railings all the way around. Once again, railings at 36 inches in height. Here's some elevations. The height, 4710, height of the building, which goes right here. This is a solid railing that goes directly across the front of the building and the side. And that's the 36 inches I was talking about. Here's some elevations, some aerial, so you can take a look at all the 5-story buildings that are around us. So this here is 45 Fleet Street, 50 Fleet Street, 277 North Street, and this is Billy T's Restaurant and Anthony's Cafe. So I want to go over a few. We met with our abutters. We had an abutters meeting, and we had the ZLC with the zoning licensing construction. We met with some of the abutters who had some concerns, expressed some issues. I did my best to reach out to them, try to sit down with them, work out. Fortunately, we were unable to meet with them. And so what we did was took their issues and tried to really address their issues without being able to sit down with them again. But, so we got a letter from 45 Fleet Street, gentleman who owns the top floor here and the roof deck, and has a concern that this was gonna block his view. So I wanted to throw it out there. I wanna address some of these issues. So we did a line of sight. So this is this roof deck here. This is his visual. As you can see, we're really to the right of his view, and his view kind of goes right over us to the left side of our property. Another aerial view from his property going over there, and his line of sight. So here's, this is his roof deck. As you can see, here's our proposal, the addition, and as you can see, we're still below the building next to us. We're not as high as the building below, next to us, and you can see the line of sight. So in no way are we infringing upon his line of sight for that property. Second person, we're 57 Fleet Street, which is this deck right here, this building. We met with Jake. Jake is here, and I'm sure he'll speak tonight, but we met with Jake. He had some concerns about some privacy issues, also some sunlight. So unfortunately, Jake, come meet with Jake to talk about it, maybe how we can maybe work something out. But in any event, we did some line of sight on some sun studies that we promised that we would do. So with that said, so his concern with some privacy issues, and I understand that he does have some issues, but this is his roof deck. These two windows that abut his property are 59 Fleet Street. They directly right up on his property. There's windows here that go into his line of sight of his property. We have back windows that already overlook it, and then there's multiple windows that can see his roof deck as of right now. We want to go up one story. I think Jake's concerned that with that back terrace that people will be able to look over the railing and look over his roof deck and invade his privacy. But I don't think with the current situation with all these windows, I don't think we're really infringing upon a privacy issue. It's not so private, this roof deck anyway.
Dan,
the other,
sorry, the first one that you said, the first one, they're not here tonight, and you tried to talk to them about.
yeah, we tried to talk to the abutters that were opposed, that had some issues. We reached out for the last, after our abutters meeting in the GLC, I reached out to everybody in multiple emails. I included our elected officials, trying to meet with them, because I think there was an opportunity to sit down and go over the issues that they had. None of them would want to meet with us.
Was the other person though, when you said, like, when you gave them the line of sight, did they say?
Well, I didn't go over this with them.
Okay.
I didn't have an opportunity to. So they're seeing this for the first time.
Okay.
But I'm sure Jake knows where his roof deck is, and he understands where these windows
Well,
are.
then just to, I want you to continue, but just, people are gonna have a chance, like, I'll certainly address it, I'll just let them do this presentation.
Absolutely, I
Yes.
totally get it.
And for them, everyone, of course.
So, also 50 Fleet Street. Bernie Sapienza lives here. He's opposed to the property. Young lady, Vicky, I don't recall her last name, lives here. Expressed some concerns, privacy issues, and views. So privacy issue and some views. We try to work with Bernie. He said he had some photos from at the abutters meeting. We asked him with the architect if we can go up to his residential unit and take some line of sight pictures. We wanted to allow us. He said he has some pictures. I've been asking for those pictures, and he hasn't sent them. So I don't know what his line of view is, but he's at the top floor. We are here. We're only going to go up to 4710, and this building's still going to be taller. I think his concern, he had a view of the top of the custom house, which I believe it's not going to affect it one bit. But he's not here. So we also assured everybody that we would do a shadow study. So I want to go over the shadow study, but I also want to pass out to the shadow study that I have covers the summer and the winter. I just got the fall and spring sunshine study today, so I'll just pass it. One is the spring and one is the fall. I didn't have time to put it on the PowerPoint. So this is existing conditions with no addition. So these are the existing conditions at 9 o'clock in the morning in the summer. This is with the proposed, as you can see, the shadow comes out to North Street. Existing conditions at noon time, which is the sun is almost at its highest point. There's really no impact on summer at noon time. At 3 o'clock, as you can see, once again, the sun study shows that there is absolutely no impact whatsoever. The winter, which is December, actually. Existing conditions, here's the shadows going out towards North Street, proposed out to North Street. See, they're a little bigger over here. At noon time, there's existing conditions. Right here, the shadow goes up to 50 Fleet Street. And over here, the proposed goes. A little impact right here, as you can see, just a little bit here. And at 3 o'clock, you can see the existing conditions that where the sun shadow goes here and kind of jets out by like an L. By the proposed conditions, it just fills in that little spot, so little minor effect. And I think the fall and the winter, the fall and the spring, you'll absolutely see no impact whatsoever if you want to go through it. So with all that said, I know it was a lot. I know people want to have an opportunity to ask some questions and speak, and I'm more than happy to answer some of these questions. And I went over all the violations that we are seeking relief.
Okay. So as I said earlier, we'll keep it to the council, and then I'll open it up to the
And
audience.
let me know whatever floor you need me to go back.
I did get, I spoke to Bernie, and relayed his concerns to the council. He couldn't be present tonight. I think, do we have Jocelyn here? Perhaps?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay, so when I open it up, you can maybe speak to that, but
Okay, great.
I got letters in support and in opposition of the project, so I figured we could, that said, we could just open it up here and then have.
That's fine.
Council members have any questions?
Jamie?
How you doing? Nice jacket, by the way.
That was the only question.
When did you guys start the renovation process?
The demo was done, Mike, when was demo done?
Well, early summer.
Early summer, demo was done, but nothing else has been done at this point, so now we have to wait.
I gotta say, I've been in that building before you started
Yeah.
the work. I was very happy when I was driving down there one day and I saw that you guys were gutting that building out. Because it's a terrible building and people should be doing this all over the North End. So, good work.
And also, I think I didn't mention, there was one owner at 50 Fleet Street had a concern about the white wall. We do not own the white wall, which is Mateo Gallo's property, but we're gonna renovate that white wall, make sure it's not white. Alright? So,
But there's no plans for windows there.
no
And
windows
obviously,
because it's on the
not
property
other
line, so
side,
there's no windows,
because that's gonna be-
no windows looking directly at 50 Fleet Street. Yeah, solid wall.
And obviously, I'll repeat and reiterate the concerns with
Right.
the rental properties themselves. And
Right.
obviously,
So
living in
then
a
the own-
unit, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have stellar tenants anyway, but of course, those are concerns in the neighborhood as renting.
Yeah.
Understood.
What's the current FAR?
Current FAR is, we are at 3.9, I believe. Let me go through it, and we're going to 5.38. But we're already over pre-existing violation. I'll get to it here, but we're around 3.9.
And maybe I can open it up to the butters first. I know Jocelyn's here, and Jake, if you want to say something too.
Jocelyn, do you want to go first? or-
Sure, I'll go first, if you don't mind.
No, of course. Just
Okay.
introduce yourself and.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Campbell. I'm an attorney at the firm of Rudolph Friedman here in Boston on State Street. And I represent the 50 Fleet Street Condominium Association, right across the street from this project. And specifically, my contact is Bernie Sapienza, who couldn't be here tonight because he's in Italy. He had to bring his mother home to Sicily, and that's why he couldn't be here. So he has some very specific objectives and objections, mostly regarding the height of the building, the roof structures, if there are going to be any. That was an unknown area. Hearing Attorney Toscano speak tonight, it seems as though there's been some changes to the plans that we have a copy of. We were recently retained, so we're new to the project, and we are planning on hiring an expert to look into some of these issues. And I also want to ask a little bit about those structures, the height of them. You said something about the elevator stopping at the 5th floor, so there won't be any
There
penthouse
won't
for
be
the
any
elevator.
override, maybe about 18 inches override. The plans that you have should be the most recent plans at the abutters meeting. I realize that I provided Mr. Sapienza an older copy of the plans. These are the new plans with the new elevations, so that I forwarded to Bernie and everybody, so everybody should have a copy of the updated plans, which you should have, if he provided you with the right copy.
Okay, then I'll take another look, but we didn't see the changes you talked about tonight, so it
Not
must
sure
be an older
what
copy.
changed specifically, if you
You
don't
said there
mind.
was going to be a difference on the roof, and it was gonna be set back 10 feet now?
It is, that was the
It's always been-
proposal, always
That's the
been that
proposal.
way.
Okay. What about
Yeah.
the actual structures on top? What are you expecting to have up there?
There's the mechanical, the air conditioning units, I believe, and that's it.
Okay, so just the railing,
The railing, and then there's an open air staircase from the 4th floor that's in the back to going up. So no head house covering it.
okay. And would you say that, is this property on a bit of a slant?
It sure is, I believe Fleet Street slants up, going
Okay.
from Atlantic Ave, going up.
Okay, and are you expecting that the basement is going to be living area?
Basin is really storage, I mean, it's for unit number 3. However, with 3 young children, I can't imagine that they're gonna let them go downstairs to the basement. They're on unit number 3, which is 3 flights up. But since we're renovating the entire building, I figure it's probably a good idea to renovate the basement and keep it as storage unit.
And when you're finished, is there expectation this will be condominium as well, or?
No, 2 rental units and owner-occupied unit.
Okay. Those are all the questions I had at the moment. Did you have any questions, Sam? One
Jocelyn,
of the.
can I just ask, because I spoke to Bernie, I mean, as everyone was, and his concerns were addressed. I'm having a difficulty understanding the impact of his view from his unit on this property, particularly just with the setback and how it's still lower than the surrounding buildings that appear to be, can you explain perhaps further how that would be negatively impacted?
Well, the shade study is interesting. I can't really speak to that. This is the first time I've seen it this evening, and we haven't had anyone else look at it. Mr. Sapienza does feel as though his view is going to be affected when he looks in that direction. Of course, his unit is right across the street, and that's a view that he looks at every day.
I understand, I'm just saying like how.
Hey, John, can I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead, you go ahead.
Sorry, yeah,
He's not gonna be able to
I'm
have the
gonna try
same
and-
view. He has a particular view that he's very fond of.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what I mean, like if there's a structure that's taller behind it and that they're proposing something that's built that's not as high as that, I just don't
Try
understand.
and unwedge myself.
Like, I know
here.
you're,
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, hold on. All right, here we go.
like clearly your view is significantly
And I can
different
try
than
and
that.
speak to things as well.
All right.
So Jake Gutterman, 57 Fleet Street. I'm the little lower building, as Daniel said. So I'll talk to Bernie's point first, and then I can come back
Okay,
and circle back
okay,
to some of my thoughts. So the reason that it could and would be impacted is geometry. If you think about it, if I were to go put my hand in front of your face right here, you could see over it. If I can put it right here, it's much harder for you to see over my hand because the height of the wall is significantly closer to your face. So the way Bernie would be impacted is that there is a, call it 12-foot taller solid wall, which is now 20 some odd-ish feet closer to his face, which from a geometry standpoint is then going to be all up in his face like that. If you
Do we know how
It's
far
actually-
the
So can I just speak to
building is behind
that?
it?
Jake, it's
Yes.
actually 60 feet away
60.
from his.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
got the
not,
entire
it's just
Fleet
to be
Street.
clear, it's not up
Right,
against.
just from a math standpoint is
But
what I was
it's,
saying.
no,
Yeah.
just so everybody knows, it's 60 feet away from Bernie's window.
So, John, just to answer your question, so this would be our building, the height, which is the railing, and this is 277 North Street, so we're an elevation here. So once again, this is the rear elevation, and this is 277 North Street, so it's still below it about 5 feet.
No, I mean, I know what you're saying, it's,
Yeah.
it's just,
But it's
and I
60
get that, but like, I'm thinking, there's a parking lot in front of it,
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's so set back that I was just having a tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, I clearly you're in a completely different scenario because you're literally going to be, because you're next to it. So-
Exactly,
so-
yeah. And again, that's just my perspective on Bernie's. And Jocelyn, thank you for introducing. I do want to say, just on my personal perspective, that I'm very excited that somebody's bought this building and is renovating it. I think it's fantastic. I'm excited about it. And as everybody agreed, it needed to be fixed up. I've lived in the neighborhood for 5 years now, so not as much as you guys have combined. But still like to consider myself welcome and a local here right now, and own multiple properties in the neighborhood as well. I think, Damien, you asked a good question, which was when did the work start? And Daniel, I appreciate your presentation and putting this all together. The answer you gave wasn't necessarily when it started, it was when the demo was completed, which I think is a different thing. And I think one of Bernie's concerns, which wasn't raised earlier, which is, why are we finding out about these significant changes or, violations, if you will, 8.5 months after the building was bought and the work was started versus, 2 months after was actually the demo was completed or a month after the demo was completed. So I did want to just clarify that. Again, I'm excited to have families in the neighborhood. I think that's great. I personally don't think that's extremely objective. I think the fact that, there are kids there, it's great, but, even though I don't have children, like to think that I can use the neighborhood as much and that my vote, my opinion matters just as much as anybody who does have kids. I noticed that, and John, to your point, I would be impacted, and I noticed there wasn't a sun study or any type of shadow or anything conducted on my space as well. That was shared with the group.
It's not space
Okay,
specific,
okay.
it just goes off.
So I'm not familiar with it. I hadn't seen
I
it
mean,
yet.
you can tell it's impacted it a little bit around the area
Yeah.
for sure, but, continue, sir.
So yeah, no. So yes, also one thing I did want to make sure that we were all clear and aligned on was that, Daniel, as you mentioned, the building's 47 feet 10 inches tall with the proposal. The additional railing that was mentioned, 3.5 feet of railing, would be solid brick. So while it is a 47-foot 10-inch building, it really is 51.
It'll be
51
50 with the railing. The railing is gonna be metal, but with a brick, but it'll be solid for safety
The top,
reasons.
the top floor isn't, the roof deck doesn't have a solid wall,
It has the railing,
Has
so it's
railing,
a solid railing.
which isn't solid, like you can't see through it like brick.
Right.
Okay.
So we were told it was solid. Yeah.
Well, you can't see through it. It's not wrought iron bars. Yeah.
So it's a solid
right.
physical wall. Yeah. So again, it's just helpful for context because while it is a 47-foot 10-inch building, it's really a 51-foot of solid wall. Again, just from my perspective and for the building across the street's perspective as well. Yeah, I mean, my main concerns here are devaluation based on privacy and sunlight, as you mentioned. Dan, you did mention, you're right, there are people looking at me right now. That doesn't mean that I want more people looking at me, and it doesn't mean that my property won't devalue because more people are not looking at me.
Oh, I totally understand. I'll answer really the question in terms of the demo, why we're here. By the time meet with an architect, draw plans, get them filed, plans examined, reviews them, get a denial letter. Once we get a denial letter, we have to appeal it. Once we appeal it, that's when we're able to start our community process. So, we kind of been sticking with that process forever. But we are gonna be set back 10 feet, 4 inches. I know the railing for the exterior roof terrace is here with a solid 36-inch railing here, so hopefully that protects your privacy. We also have windows back there already, so, but once again, I would love to sit down with you and talk it over. You were a little reluctant, so I'm more than happy to continue open, maybe we can, work on that issue.
Yeah,
In terms of the sun study, went through it, the sun study, we'll go through it and we can go through it slowly so you understand it at some point, but doesn't affect you one bit, the sun study, in all seasons. But, we can work out the other issue.
Yeah.
All you have to do is email.
I think reluctant is a very strong word, but I appreciate your perspective.
Well, he
on
asked for a
it.
meeting, I think, and you said no.
And you said no, so.
Same,
Yeah,
we asked
say
Bernie
something?
for the pictures twice, and he said no
And he
twice.
said
Mind if I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Mike Delarusso, I'm the general contractor on the job, I've been in North End resident my whole life, I think for those of you who don't know me. I understand Jake's concerns, right? But I wanted to make a mention that during the abutters meeting, we met with Mr. Sapienza. And I specifically asked Mr. Sapienza if we could prove that there are no privacy issues that impact his building, right? And that we can prove that the sun exposure is not impacted by the addition to this building, and that we can prove that his view is not obstructed. And I asked him if then that we would prove those things, right, would he be satisfied and would in fact support the project? And he had adamantly threw up his arms and said absolutely not. So there's another alternative here, there's another motive here other than finding views and sun studies and privacy issues. So we really have to look into the character of those who are opposing this project, right? So if, Jake, I'm not saying anything about your character, you have your own concerns, but none of them really connected to Bernie's concerns, right? So if we prove all these things, right, which we're trying to prove now, and you don't want to support the project, we just don't want to support the project. I just want to make that point.
Yeah.
The other thing is the demolition was done by the right of the Prince because they had the right to demo and remodel a 5-unit building that it sits and exists, right? So we had needed to not go through any community process to do that. That's, you go up there with your contracts and your information and you do a permit, right? So that's why the work started, to get ahead of the project, to make the building safer than it was, because it was a really bad property, right? A lot of structural issues, a lot of the heating systems were in bad shape, and those were serious issues, and the property could no longer be rented up. So we needed to get ahead of the project for the Prince, and that's why we did it, and you didn't know about it because it was done as of right.
Yep.
Okay. As of this addition is as of right. It's the roof structure and the FAR are the violations that we're seeking relief from, not the height limits. So in fact, they can go up to 55 feet if they please, but if they don't wish to do that, based on this project, and they are willing to work something out with you, I believe.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
No, I appreciate the context, Mike, and I think, one just comment and thought on that is that the structural integrity of the building before renovation, to me, should be independent of, independent of then adding floors on top of it.
Well, one has nothing to do with the other.
That's exactly my argument, and I said, I am really excited that people are fixing this building. I would love for you guys to move into that building, live next door, just not 12 feet higher than it is today.
So, okay, I think,
Yeah.
so your general concerns are the height going up,
The height
impacting
and
both
the
your view and
terrace.
privacy.
Yep.
Okay. May I ask if there's any other of others that are maybe present tonight? Okay, Michelle, just.
My name is Michelle Petrino. I live at 292 North Street. That property is directly in front of my property. I believe it's a huge improvement to North Street. That building is an eyesore and did need tons and tons of work. To have a family, owner occupied, whether they're family or not, owner occupied is what I want in my neighborhood, because there's accountability to renters and things like that. So having it under 55 feet is a bonus, and I see nothing wrong with the property.
This is 292 Katrina again.
Yeah, before,
It's a big record.
or whatever it is now.
And before 50 Fleet Street was built, I could see the water. I could see East Boston.
Right, so Mr. Sapiano's unit obstructs my view. If you want to get technical, I no longer have to walk
If you could just say your name and where you're
I'm
from.
Cheryl Savasio, I live at 292 North Street. Michelle's my sister.
Yep.
So, if we want to start picking hairs here about whose view is obstructed, I have a bone to pick with Mr. Sapiano. Anyway, I'm in support of the project. I think it's wonderful. The top floor unit on 279 looks directly into my bedroom. And it will be a pleasure to have a family versus someone's stereo speaker on the window, playing Ja Rule at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I welcome you. I think it's a wonderful project and property. And knowing Michael, I know it's going to be a fabulous improvement.
And no disrespect to Ja Rule.
I like that.
Did you want to say something?
15 years later now.
That's how long it's
That's
going
okay.
on.
Are there any other others before I just
Can I
open
ask
it
a
up to the?
question?
Yeah, sure.
My question is, I think all of us are excited that this is being renovated and that there's a family moving in. The question is, what does that have to do with adding an extra floor?
Because you're allowed 55 feet, we all had to put up with it. I did, they did, I'm a lifelong
It's
resident
community
too.
process. This is what happens.
I went through hell.
Adds value.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
think
not
that,
mistaken.
and in a general sense, when we have items that come before
Yep.
us, it's always, we do talk about what this community means, and a lot of it is, we like to preserve what's here, which is families over the course of
Right.
generations, so.
You're very lucky. They're good character people. They'll work with you. We're not so lucky. We're out in the middle of the night on Saturday nights at 3 a.m. with the landlords that are not present and are making money. They're willing to raise their 3 wonderful boys here. They're great people to be around. And I support them. I support Michael. I support the whole project. We all had to deal with it. We were born and raised here and our parents were too. It's unfortunate, but it is.
And this is a business
no,
thing.
Mike,
When
I do,
businesses
Mike.
come before us too, it's the same way, you know, like,
Right.
we have a lot of communities, or, excuse me, a lot of businesses in the community that give back to the neighborhood, maintain their properties, get rid of trash, you know, and all that stuff is good when it comes to voting. So whether it's moving up and people that are opposed or support, all these things do help the council when we reach a decision of voting. You know, for instance, I mean, the fee societies that they just wrapped up their season on the month of August, you know, a couple are out. A lot of that money goes towards like baseball and neighborhood, things like that. So I think it's important to hear from that perspective as well for those, as well as for these issues, right?
Well, absolutely, and my question really is, let me, sorry, try and distill it down differently. It's, why is it important that it has to be floors 3, 4, and 5 that they live on and not 2, 3, and 4? That's my only question.
Because that's their choice.
Right, and it's my then
When
choice
they
to come
bought
in
it,
and
they
argue.
We'd
had
like to
that
add
option.
additional living space in the floor.
Right.
Okay,
That's
fair.
let's just leave one person at a time so I can just hear everybody, that's fine. I understand, yeah, that's, I would say that's a personal preference that that I'm sure like, you know, many of us have.
Right.
Probably.
But we're here to.
I'm sure you
we're
would
here
have
to-
the same
Right, but I'm just saying we're here to argue against the variances,
But we're
and that
gonna
is the variance.
report it.
Exactly, and that's the discussion, right? But isn't that the discussion we're having?
It is a
Yeah.
discussion, but that's why they paid a lot of money for something they wanna raise their.
I think, let me just, yep, I heard that, and, we heard
If you were
opposition,
allowed to, another 55 feet,
So-
absolutely. I would support you.
Okay,
so, but,
Karen.
Karen, Jake.
Oh, Jake, nice to meet you, Jake.
all right,
So
so.
I have a question for you.
So, Damien, listen.
Jake,
Yes, sir.
do you own the whole building or is it condo?
I own 53% of the building, it is condo.
So, I mean, who has the roof rights to your building?
Personal.
So if you ever wanted to go up, you could. You'd have to
You-
come, if you wanted to go up 10, 20, 30 feet, you could, to the
Can
height
I?
limit. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. You have the roof rights?
Yes.
All right.
So if you
How
had
many
Just
people
curious,
live
so isn't that nice that you're able to do that, expand your property if you want to?
35?
And you're allowed.
Well, no, I mean,
I assume you mean,
Yeah.
it's to the wherever the limit is, you can raise it that far.
Yeah, so you're able to do that too if you want to.
so I can go up to 50 something?
Yeah, no, I'm asking, that's something that.
Yeah, legally by my bylaws, my association, I could build up, yes.
But you have to
Yeah.
go by this process.
Absolutely, yeah.
Daniel's available.
No, but that's why I'm just asking the questions, and you're right, the process is that we have a discussion about it.
It's fair, okay, I think,
But no luck, you'll still be there.
I'm just saying, you seek support from the same people in this room, Jake, that's all, when you went in
all right,
fact.
let me just keep opening it up so we can get, I wanna make sure everybody's, I've heard support and opposition. Does anybody else in attendance have, view either way that maybe,
There's a gentleman over there.
yeah, Victor?
Quick clarification for the
Sure.
next one, Thursday. The roof plan that I have, Plan A-1.3 dated May 15th, 18, shows a roof deck of 549 square feet and no setback. Has that been revised?
I'm sorry, Victor, say that again, please.
There's you said the roof was 549 square feet with no setback, has that been revised?
That's
The
a
roof
below.
deck, there is a setback in the
Yeah.
back, so it's not
Well,
the
well,
entire
well,
roof,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
500 and, exactly, the 500 square feet roof deck, but it's set back from the back.
Oh, from
So
the
yeah,
back, not
right,
from
not
North
from the
Street.
front, so you have the
Okay.
open staircase and then you.
So this is an accurate plan. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Anyone else?
I
in
have one quick
attendance?
question.
Sure, Jocelyn.
Sorry to ask one more question. I do expect to have a chimney on the roof for the fireplace.
Is there a fireplace proposed?
Yes, but there will be only a 3-foot, it wouldn't go any higher, it would just go just above the roof deck.
Because there's the parapet and then,
Yeah,
yeah, so,
Okay.
it wouldn't go any higher than the next
there's an
building or,
existing wisdom fireplace, right? I don't know.
right there,
Right here in the back?
no.
Oh.
Right about where you think it's
Right there.
Does anyone else have any, questions?
There's a number of people here that are here just to support them tonight.
Yeah,
You know,
if you
John,
want to hear it all.
And I think that somebody else raised a very valid point that, where Bernie's building is, that used to be the Grill and Q, which was a really small building.
2 stories.
And it was a 2-story building, and they went out to every limit on that building. They went down, they went up. Bernie's building blocked a ton of people's windows.
Bernie didn't build a building, he just
So-
bought a unit there.
So I think that that's a pretty valid point. I think that they the right to do what they're trying to do here. And I think they deserve our support.
Is there anybody else in support that has anything else to add, or would like to just raise their hand in support or opposition?
Who's here to support?
Yes.
And unless I haven't, and this goes for both, or if there's anyone else that I haven't called on that perhaps would have any opposition or support, then certainly raise your hand. But I think both sides have, I mean, I've certainly heard, so unless there's something new that maybe wasn't addressed, I would ask that we just vote, so.
Mr. President, I mean, just, we're more than happy to continue to work with our abutters. I think working with Jake is an easy fix, maybe, you know, if we get a chance to talk to him. I don't think Mr. Sapienza, he's opposed to it. There's nothing we can do that is gonna change his mind about this. This is his view. We're not going up any high. He just doesn't wanna see the addition. And that's okay, you know, he has a right to oppose it. No one's criticizing him for opposing it. I personally, I think as a layperson's opinion, and everybody maybe in this room can see, I don't think it's gonna affect it. We're still gonna be about 5 feet shorter than this 277, and not to mention the head house that is there, that's above the 55 feet. But I think we can work with Jake, and it'll give an opportunity to sit down with you.
Yeah, I think with him being, I mean, it seems like you're very much affected by this, so,
Yeah.
in terms of it going up, so if you can at least have an open-minded discussion, that would be helpful. But that said, if we could vote and pass them forward to,
President, Council, thank you for your time.
Thank you.